Hey all, this is the season recap video from 2022. That's what you're in, right? I'm going to try to go through in somewhat chronological order of what happened this season. So one of the first things from this season was doing it's kind of hard to see here, but there's a whole drainage thing up against this tire wall. Here you can see that drainage thing up against the tire wall, as well as what this whole area looked like earlier on in the season. Because the tire wall was pushing out a little bit, so I wanted to limit the ice up against it. So I built this whole drainage thing here, and did a good bit of stone work, like this rock wall here, and starting some stonework on the underside. It's kind of hard to see there, but there's some tires underneath that little cement thing, which is reinforcing the wall. And there was a huge stone pile. I think it was actually 21 tons of stone from early this season, and it all got used this year. And even before all that, the very first project from the preseason of this year was redoing the roof on this greenhouse, getting rid of that poly, double insulating it, and then replacing it with tin, so it was a lot better insulated for the greenhouse. And let's see, so one of the first projects here was starting this chicken coop here, which ironically it never actually got finished because it turns out I didn't actually need it, but it created a area out of the rain here, so I'll put some lawn chairs under there for now. And then in the first weeks, kind of buttressing, these are all the chickens. There's lots of chickens around here now. I think there's over 20 of all the different generations. It's 5, 7, and 9. There's a generation of 5 that was born this year, and a generation of 9 that was born this year, and then there's 7 older ones. They're all kind of mixed together and getting along. So this tire wall was leaning after like 5 or 6 years and it not having pounded properly. And so I did a good bit of buttressing on this. So you can see there's some stone buttresses, and then that whole tire buttress thing there was built and rocked over, and to prevent this wall from leaning anymore. And after getting that in place, that became an anchor point for that fence. And so this fence used to just be basically like a brush wall. This is a shot of that area after the brush wall was cleared out and before the fence went up. And I cleared out the brush wall and put in this fence, and this whole area here was all kind of a dirty mound. And leveled that out and rocked up the remaining dirt. Made a step here and cleaned out this whole area so it's nice and flat around this Ninja boat that got in there the first year. Drove that down the highway, sticking out of the front of a tractor. It was very precarious, but luckily it didn't go bad. So this fence here is tied into the end of that tire wall to give it extra support, and then there's a little gate there and some chicken wire that was built after a number of the chicks from the first generation got killed this year, as well as the mom from the first generation. And so I think in all this year there was maybe 6 chickens that got killed by a predator, and maybe 3 that died of natural causes. But now there's another 14, 9 and 5. Yeah, now there's another 14 that were born this year, so there's still a increasing chicken population. So after doing this fence project, this whole gate project was done. And you can kind of see the outline of the tires on the bottom. and then there's a drain pipe that comes from up there, and it was used with some unconventional materials. I'll put in a couple clip shots of how this was built. It took maybe a couple weeks to get it all done. And another big project from this year was doing this whole gate tower project, finishing the inside of it. So the whole floor here got cemented, and this outer area got this roof on it to eventually create I was thinking I was gonna rent this out this year, get it all finished and rent it out this year, and that was kind of the push for a solid like month or two to get it all finished, and then turns out it wasn't all that necessary. But I think I will rent it out next year. We'll see how it goes. So this isn't all finished, but this is basically the entryway. And then here is what's going to be the rental unit. So early on this year, this was just like a big dirt pit. So I had to dig out a whole bunch of dirt out from under there, and then rock up the walls, and then do the floors of cement, and do lots of mortar work in here. So this area underneath the platform, there's a wood stove, so there'll be like wood storage and other kind of storage under here. There's running water and electricity in here, and a little bit of storage. This is going to go up there to make it another 2 feet wider. So there's a bed area up here with a little area for plants right up on a little ledge kind of next to the window there for plants on the far side, and a little bit of storage behind here. There is a 1,500 gallon water reservoir, which it hasn't been fully charged through the winter yet because it hasn't been insulated in here yet. But when it is fully insulated here and this is heated through the winter, that is going to be a giant thermal battery that will help to regulate the temperature in here. And then here is this is the chimney pipe that goes up, and then basically like a little efficiency dresser couch that actually folds out to have a second bed, and then a little kitchen area with a fridge, some pantry storage, little stove, and a nice little efficiency apartment, which still hasn't been stayed in. But oh, and here's a cool view of the windows. So the reason it's called the gate tower, there's these 5 windows here, and it's got a view of all of the approaches. So this window gets a view down the whole length of the entry hall. This window gets a view of the gate over there. This window gets a view of that gate. And this window gets another view of that gate in kind of the middle. And then this view gets a view of the drive going down that way. And then the front, you've got a good view of the whole east side, once I clear out some of that stuff. And yeah, it was about like a month or two of work, kind of cleaning up this whole thing, building the stairs, the floor, getting all of the dirt covered, that little side wall and stone in there, and reinforcing the walls and all sorts of stuff to get it livable. If it needed to be lived in through the winter, it could be, but it'll be easier to just find someone that will find a good fit for this place, or be a good fit for this place for next year. This is there's a bit of storage out here, but this is going to be kind of like a little sitting area and storage type area, and maybe kind of outhouse type area once this gets enclosed, so there'll be privacy there. but be separated from the living space. There's some stair work to do here. Then it'll have its own little side door. So its own private entryway, which is totally separate from everything else. And this will be the second living space, or it is the second living space that hasn't been lived in yet, to complement the other living space. And it's outside the side gate so that the courtyard private area is separate from this area. And it has its own little private patio type thing here, and area over there for gardening and all sorts of stuff. I'm going to clear out some of these trees probably in the spring to open up the view a little bit. And okay, so after the whole gate tower, that got us up to about week 8, week 10. Then there's a whole bunch of drainage projects that were done. So I mentioned that first one there. Then this whole section here, you can see that S snaking kind of cement looking thing, and it kind of goes underneath the leaves, but that's a drain pipe that drains out this whole area and then goes off that way. And then we're kind of jumping around a little bit. What you see right here is a drawbridge in front of you, and up in the top right of the screen is a bucket which counterweights the drawbridge. So it's an operable drawbridge that goes up and down, and it's counterweighted by the bucket, and it crosses the water feature, which was built this year. And you can see here the EPDM going down, and then stone and stairs and other features getting built in it. And to get from the entry hall into the living space, you have to cross over the water feature and the drawbridge. So there's all this, there's all that. And then over here, this area was kind of like a overgrown, just dirt. And so this whole thing got rocked up and finished. This whole tunnel got built. This drainage section out in front of, or in between these two structures, got built, which is important. And this whole drainage area got built, which is really important. This drainage area got built. This flagpole got installed. No flag yet, just a paint bucket helmet. There's steel added onto all of this facade wall. Over here, this corner used to be a drain. It got filled with cement and aircrete. And then there's a pole that goes down like 8 feet, and then it's connected to that. I was a bit rushed as I was doing the video, but I forgot this whole renovation in the living room where the beam came from. So I took out that post and got the beam out of there and onto the corner of the castle. And then over here, there's a whole drain project down there. So this is actually a major drain project. This used to be where the water drained up until this year. So I dug that out, built a new drain pipe through that trench, and then backfilled it all with stone. And then further up, this is in the earthship. It used to have this old gutter thing. I got rid of that and piped it properly. So that connects all to the water feature, and then that will allow the future plumbing for that bathtub. And then this is a footer project underneath the entrance of that garage structure. So I dug out a trench, put rebar in it, and then poured cement in it in order to connect the pillar to the far wall. This is a drainage project for the front face of the facade to get all the water to shed off further and to connect some air pipes in there. This is reinforcing the wall of the garage before getting the wood all stacked. And then this is showing the tunnel project and how it's bonding the entry hall to the garage structure, and the progress of that tunnel project as I built around a couple raspberry bushes so that I could continue harvesting their fruit, as the tunnel project also connects the garage structure to the tire wall of the original Earthship structure, and that is Apollo chilling on top. This is another umbrella kind of water shedding project for the gate tower to get it to shed off further. And then this is an extension of the rebar from the footer going up and around the entrance of that garage structure arch in order to tie it all in a bit better. And this last shot just shows the frame of the window and how I set it up before getting that window into place. And that is everything that was done this year. We got 20 seconds left to cut. And over here is the small tower. I cleared off the top of it and all of the vines, and I covered it with plastic and reinforced this area. And then this wall was leaning, built a big buttress on the side of it, capped the tires so that all of that is safe from the rain. And at a time, that's all. So my phone had run out of storage, that's why it was all rushed. So this is what that tower buttress project looks like beforehand, and then a couple incremental shots adding the tires, and then here's the finished shot. The second generation of chicks, which were born this year, I incubated, and here's a few shots of them. There was 9 that hatched, and all 9 are still alive. And then this was another project of reinforcing the front door of the entry hall with a little external footer. And then this final shot also shows the Admiral refrigerator door to the left of the door there that was mounted, and that's basically the nameplate of the castle now. Little tease for next year, a couple projects that are planned include building a citadel on the top of the hill and above the small tower, as well as a terrace that wraps around from this tunnel that goes to the west and cuts into the hillside and wraps all the way around the hill to the right beneath the small tower on the other side. There'll be much more next year, but you'll have to tune in to see what happens.